Hello there beautiful, how are you doing today? Welcome back to my channel, my name is Joesephyr and today we're going to be covering the rest of November and early December for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia now that we've had the community stream happen. So there was no major surprises and honestly I don't quite understand why the changes in the scheduling happened. They showed the first event video earlier, but I'm still wondering why we got so much backloaded into the first half of November as opposed to it being more spread out. But here we are, and there's still lots to look forward to going forward into Dissidia. So if you'd like to know what's going on for the next month, then of course stay tuned and keep on watching. Before we get started, of course, don't forget to check out all of my social links down below, including my Twitch, where I stream every Opera Omnia event as it goes live, and also I'll be streaming an absolute megaton of FF14 Endwalker when that is released as well. I would love for you to come and join me and to support the content that I make for Final Fantasy XIV as well as it comes out. As a matter of fact, today on stream I managed to get my last Guiber, so I got my Panzerwaffe ready. It was a symbol of overcoming the anxiety I had of doing harder content on stream, and it really meant a lot to me, so thank you to everybody who came along, played in parties, or just joined in the chat to support that. It's very, very much appreciated. Over on Patreon as well, I do always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a video, and today that person is going to be Wolfie, who is another of my Ultima tier patrons as I released the new content for that last week, and honestly it's been received so quickly and so lovingly by so many people already that it's kind of overwhelming and it's extraordinary. So a massive thank you goes out to you, Wolfie in particular, for being one of my earliest supporters and for continuing to do so. And to all of my patrons, I have a lot of title cards that I need to make over the next couple of weeks, so I shall be hot on that as soon as possible. And if you would like one, all the details are in the description box below. And of course, don't forget to check out all of the other content creators and resources out there for Dissidia Opera Omnia, including Tonbury Troop, Dissidia Info, Dissidia Compendium, Dissidia DB, and all those other stuff that are out there, because they're all resources that I use on this channel, and I believe that you should too. So once again, a massive thank you to Josh and Crystal for putting out all of the information we have when it comes to Dissidia every month. It's very much appreciated, and those guys work extremely hard on what they do, so much love goes out to you guys for that. Now, we know for a fact that we actually knew about this earlier because of an in-game announcement, but we have tomorrow Divine Shiva coming up for November 22nd. So tomorrow for me, tonight for guys in the US, and luckily I've already made my Should You Pull video for Jecht and Ardyn, who are featured on the banners for Divine Shiva within the last video that I made, so that you can go back and have a look at that so you can know what to expect from the event and from the characters involved as well. What we didn't know about, however, previously was the Dimensions and Transcendence support campaign's return, which is basically free gems for anyone that's already finished all of the current Dimensions and Transcendence tiers. So I don't know exactly how many it's going to be. I believe it's meant to be between 25 and 30k if you haven't done any of the tiers up until this point. But if you've done tiers 1, 2 and 3, you won't get those gems again. You'll only get them from tiers 4 and 5. So I think that's going to be around 10,000 gems. So not as much as maybe one would have seen in previous support campaigns like this. But quite frankly, I will take free gems whenever they're offered to me. So I think it's fantastic that we're seeing this. And then we get daily hunts with Metal Gigantuars and World of Illusions Carbuncle Treasures, which honestly I could do with because I always run out of armor orbs and I could do with a lot more of them. Now on November 25th, we're getting the Black 5-Day campaign. So Black Friday is obviously a thing next week on November 29th. So for this one, we're getting the same deal we got last year, which was a US dollar for 500 gems. So it'll be a bit cheaper depending on, or more expensive depending on what your currency is, obviously. And other special limited time gem sales, which I'm very, very keen to look at. I'd like to know what's in those, see if there's anything hidden in there for anyone who does spend money on the game. And also, it's said here that there's 2 free first multi-draws on select banners. So by the looks of things, we're not getting free multi-draws for Jecht and Ardyn, but we are for an extended period of time from this point onwards. So my assumption is that this banner will contain Vanille, because we have had a bit of a delay on Vanille, and basically she just does more of what she does best, which is Dispel, Deprotect, and obviously I will cover Vanille in greater detail with a Should You Pull video coming shortly after we finish with Divine Shiva. And then this campaign draw will last until December 8th, so that means that's where I think Vanille is going to go. Also on November 25th, we're going to see Kadaj's Lost Chapter, which will see the return of Kadaj, and also Maria's LD, which plays very well into what Maria already does, which is a trap-based character that happens to have healing on it, but her new trap actually triggers before the enemy deals damage, so it's actually a very interesting take on the LD, on traps basically in general, and her LD call is actually very good as well, and we're going to see her first free multi-draw here as well. So if anything, if you're pulling for Jecht, my suggestion is maybe go for the LD with Divine Shiva, but don't necessarily token or go pitying the BT straight away, because there are going to be free pulls that come with Jecht. From November 29th, what we're going to see is the start of the Winter Festival, which says at least 6 free multi-draws, which we have already had explained that this means that there's going to be more multi-draws going into the new year, because we only have information up until the first half of December, so we don't know what's going to come on the second half necessarily. A lot of people are taking the at least to mean something greater than what it might be, which like a global first or something. I personally don't think that's going to happen, purely on the back of the fact that why would they release a global first character in January when the anniversary is the following month? It would make more sense to me to release it on February rather than January. But I mean, you know, they could do one on both. I just don't see it happening. But we're also going to be getting the return of Kupo cards, new status badges, all of that good stuff. And we're also going to be getting a raid event that comes along with it that brings Shadow along. Now, Shadow has a lot of defense ignoring properties in his kit. Obviously has Interceptor with follow-up attacks, has the ability to do a lot of evasion, but his evasion is still very reliant on his C65 to be complete evasion. But he's a character that a lot of people consider to be quite skippable, but because he has defense ignoring properties, he definitely has legs in his kit, so maybe that's a character that you might want to look into as well. And this, as far as we can tell, is the last banner that will feature Jecht BT, but this also has a free multi-draw on it as well, so definitely don't go pitying or BT tokening Jecht BT on the first go. So what we're going to see at the beginning of December, so the 3rd of December, is Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 6, which again I will cover in greater detail. Too much to cover in just this kind of overview video, but I will be covering it more in detail when we get to the Should You Pull for the banners that are featuring this, that are likely to feature Caius and the return of his LD and his BT+, which gives him the ability to break on pretty much on everything he does and increase break bonus by a very large amount. And also Selfie. Now Selfie's a very powerful character and changes her role quite significantly, because her LD puts a debuff on the enemy that makes it so that you can launch the enemy with every attack no matter who's hitting them. So there's a lot to like about Selfie, and she also has a very bright future ahead of her in C90, and let's not forget that her EX is also very unique and can refill EX gauges quicker. And we're also going to see Golbez come back here as well with a BT+. Golbez is a weird one because like his BT effect is nice because it still freezes bravery, much like Setsa's like freeze Joker does, but he doesn't get loads from his BT+, much in the same way that Ardyn doesn't. So he is one that a lot of people that I've seen skip over, but I'm sure he's still very, very good for those that want to use him. Now, first for multi-draws free on both of these banners as well. So literally it seems like the only banners that aren't getting one are going to be Jecht's first 2 banners with Divine Shiva. And then rounding out what we know from here, we have Intersecting Wills Kane. So much like Garnet, Intersecting Wills is a lost chapter by another name, new cutscenes, etc., which is quite nice. Kane's actually very interesting in that his LD gives him a large jump ability, and he delays himself while he's in the air, and basically has a battery damage effect that triggers in between every turn while he's in the air. And this is actually very good in launch parties in particular, because he's still able to participate in a launch even though he's not on the board, and because he's not there, he can't be hit. So there's a lot to like about him. However, he is also the first character that gets a force weapon in the far future, so whether you want to pull for Kane now and get his LD quickly so that you don't have to get it later, you will still have to pull on Kane for his force weapon, which will feature his LD weapon anyway, so that's going to create a discussion in and of itself. Do you pull for a character like that now, or when their full kit is revealed later down the line? And then finally we have a Winter Festival co-op and Heretic event. So on December 10th we're getting a token challenge called Clanging All the Way. This is new as far as I can tell, and this is going to run alongside a Winter Campaign draw featuring a new LD. Now, my assumption is that this is going to feature Lena, who is a character that I am extremely excited for because I've used Lena since the very first time she came out with her 15 and 35, and I've loved her ever since. and she's FF5, which also helps. She's also a very, very powerful, like, just support character in general. She actually does half-decent damage with all of her upgrades, etc. And she just does very well in general. She's a character I'll probably be gemming. The only thing I'm a bit sad about is that she's featured on Caius's batch by the looks of things, unless they switch Vanille and Lena over, which I don't see happening, and instead of Jecht, which makes me wonder a little bit more about whether I'm going to pull on Jecht or not, because I'm like, ooh, there's less banners I'm likely to pull on this for to get his BT. And then on December 15th, we get Ida and her rework and her LD, and she's much more on the HP poison side of things. And her event is one that I used as reference for a lot of things when it came to X-Death and like Sid Raids and Aphmau, and I used this event with the large moths just to kind of look at what was going on with it and like all the various characters in JP at this point. So suffice to say, there's a lot of different ways that you can tackle this particular event, even though it requires HP poison, because that's what Ida's new thing is. And again, both of these feature first free multi-draw, so lots of free multi-draws for everyone. Here's hoping that we get some nice stuff from them. So that's going to be the last slide for today's video, and that's everything covered up until December 15th. And then the following stream is going to contain the rest of December and then the New Year. So Christmas and New Year itself, we don't know very much about at this point in time, but we're going to be seeing it happen next month instead. Let me know in the comments below whether you like who you're pulling on, where you're pulling, what events you're looking forward to, where you think Vanille and Lena are like line up in this, whether you agree with me, maybe you don't. Do you think they're going to do any kind of global firsts? Are you disappointed that they maybe didn't do anything to do with Endwalker this month? I do think it's a missed opportunity for like cross promotion with Endwalker, but I do also understand that that's not an easy thing to do. So I'm not upset that they didn't do one. I just kind of look at it, I'm like, oh, that's a shame, because I did kind of drum up the idea that that could happen last month, and maybe I shouldn't have. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notification on any future videos I might be making. And that's going to be it from me. So thank you all ever so much, and I shall see you then. Take care.